In the show, Brian Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Allow me for a moment to talk about this Bischoff thing and WWE as a whole. Eric Bischoff is gone. He was hired 4 months ago. I actually have a modicum of sympathy for Eric Bischoff in the sense that this dude moved. He moved to Connecticut. He packed up. He moved all of his stuff across the country. He was living on a ranch in like Wyoming. And he, I guess, sold everything and packed everything up and moved. 4 months later, he's fired. He's gone. So that sucks. Now, with that out of the way, 4 months ago, when WWE out of the blue announced that they had hired Eric Bischoff to run the SmackDown side, we said at the time, this is largely a figurehead role. Like, Paul Heyman has done a fair amount as the man allegedly in charge of Raw. But at the end of the day, it's Vince's show. And Vince is going to do whatever he wants. And if Paul wants to push Cedric Alexander and Cedric Alexander doesn't get over, then Vince can say, the Cedric push is done. It's over. And Paul Heyman has to end the push. That's just the way things go. It's Vince's show. But Paul has had input into that Raw show. And quite frankly, the show is better than it had been. This is low praise. It's a low bar, okay? SmackDown, Eric Bischoff was barely doing anything. When I asked people, what's Eric Bischoff doing? The first thing I heard was, hey, I haven't seen him. He's not even there. Then I would hear, well, he shows up. Then later I would hear, well, he shows up in catering. He was doing some stuff, and honest to God, when I asked, I don't even know what he was doing. But I know he was doing enough that nobody liked working under him. I heard of people that wanted to quit that were working under him. I heard that he didn't know anybody. He didn't know any of the talent. He didn't go out of his way to learn about anything. He would leave and no one could get a hold of him. I heard literally zero good things about Eric Bischoff when whatever he was doing there. I don't even know what he was doing. Now, really the key to this story, I mean, we talked about when he got hired that he was largely going to be a scapegoat, and if something went wrong, he would be fired. And man, if you look at the last week, there's a lot that's gone wrong, so it's pretty much played out exactly as we figured. But one of the keys to the whole thing is everybody knew that hiring Eric Bischoff to run SmackDown, even a little bit, was like a bad idea. Like I knew, those of you listening knew, the people in WWE knew, like everybody knew that this was a bad idea, except Vince McMahon. And he hired the guy. And lo and behold, it turned out to be a bad idea. So now Eric is gone and Bruce Pritchard has taken over. And quite frankly, when I asked people months ago, like, what's Eric doing? And they were like, I don't even know. He shows up for meetings and then he vanishes. I was like, well, who's doing the show? They were like, Bruce Pritchard. So, like, Bruce has been doing the show the whole time. I still don't have any idea what Eric Bischoff was doing. So there's not going to be like a drastic change now that Bruce Pritchard has officially taken over. He's pretty much been doing it the whole time. So I was told today there may be more coming. Who knows? The morale has not been good for a long time, but apparently the morale has taken an even bigger hit since I was told October 1st. Well, what's happened October 1st? Well, everything changed. And if you recall, like the belief within WWE, which I said, and it's not like I'm some prophet because pretty much everybody else agreed with this. The belief in WWE, at least Vince McMahon, I don't even think the people that work there believe this. Their idea was, oh my God, we're going to Fox and a new boom period is going to kick off. Well, here we are, it's week 2. They lost 1 million viewers after week 1. They were down 1.1 million viewers from week 1. There's clearly no boom period in sight. SmackDown did a draft. It sucked. Raw did a draft. It sucked. Like, nobody cares about any of this. They drafted people from Raw to Raw. We didn't even talk about that last night. Like, in the draft, There were people on Raw that got drafted to Raw, and people on SmackDown that got drafted to SmackDown. There were people put in pools that all of a sudden were just randomly drafted to the other show and taken out of the pool. There's people not even in the pools at all. I mean, the whole draft has just been a disaster. And it's infuriating to me because if you are just flying by the seat of your pants and you're trying to just throw everything together at the last minute and there are mistakes, okay, you're incompetent, but fine, I can understand that. We were told in advance, we got the whole thing figured out. The whole draft is all ready to go in advance. We've got it all figured out. Well, they had it all figured out, and it's still a disaster. That means like a lot of people worked very hard on this, and it was still profound incompetence in this draft. They lost 1 million viewers on SmackDown. They're getting thrashed on Wednesday nights in this big war that Vince was so confident. Oh, NXT's going to smash them on USA Network, plugging them on Raw. There's no way we're going to lose. You got smashed 2 straight weeks in a row. Does anybody think they're not going to get smashed this week? Anybody? I had people there last night texting me during the show that work for WWE, and they're like, dude, I can't watch this show. I was going to tune in tomorrow and see what you guys, like, get your recap of it. It is such a disaster within this company right now. I went on a big rant before Hell in a Cell. Well, here we are a week after Hell in a Cell. Like, it's just as bad or worse. All they talk about, all I had to hear on Friday was, you know what? You may never see these people wrestle again. They're going to get drafted to different shows. I'm like, dude, how stupid do you think I am? You think I'm never going to see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have a match again? Are you kidding me? Like, we know that it's Survivor Series. It's going to be brand versus brand. Why are you telling me we may never see this match again? And then, of course, they actually do the draft, and Seth Rollins is on Raw, and Bray Wyatt gets drafted to SmackDown, and then later in the show they announce, hey, Crown Jewel, it's Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins. It's Raw versus SmackDown. Right after you told me, man, after this draft, you're never going to see certain matches again. We have a main event on Raw that's the Kabuki Warriors versus Natty and Lacey Evans. This is like a small thing, but dude, the Kabuki Warriors never officially turned heel. They just showed up at the pay-per-view and they were heels. There was no turn, there was no explanation, nothing. They showed up at the pay-per-view and they were heels. So none of the fans have any idea what's going on. Last week on the show, we had a Lacey Evans-Natty match. They've been feuding. They don't like each other. Well, Natty comes out on Raw and she goes, well, I had to choose a partner. Here's somebody I have respect for. Lacey Evans. What? Okay, whatever. They go to the ring. The fans in Denver, they have no idea what's going on, and it's not their fault. They're watching this match, and they see Lacey Evans, who has undoubtedly been a heel for months. She's in the ring with Natty, who God only knows, like Natty just flip-flops on a seemingly monthly basis as well. They're in there with the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka, who is beloved, and Kairi Sane, who's just the cutest thing and was beloved. And they don't even know what's going on. They're cheering the Kabuki Warriors, who are supposed to be heels. They boo when Natty makes a hot tag, because they figure she's got to be a heel. They boo when Lacey Evans gets a hot tag. They presume she has to be a heel. But in fact, they're the baby faces. The Kabuki Warriors are heels. Immediately afterwards, they go to a Firefly Funhouse, which is something that everybody loves every single week. Bray's out there waving to the children. The fans love the Firefly Funhouse. Seth Rollins shows up, and he just destroys the set. He lights the table on fire. Bray Wyatt is practically in tears. Seth, why are you doing this? And Seth destroys the set, and he looks in the camera with an evil face, and he goes, burn it down. He lights the table on fire. The fans are booing like crazy because they figure he's got to be a heel. This has to be a double turn. It's not. He's the top babyface on this brand. Well, we're back. First thing that happened during the commercial break is Mike told me he's just not watching the full show anymore. He's only going to watch the 90-minute Hulu version. And at first I thought, dude, it's our job. We got to watch the show. Then I thought, who cares? Stop watching it. I'll do it. We're literally to the point where I'm pretty sure that within like 6 months, it's going to be me and Dave as the only people on this planet that are watching the whole 3-hour Raw. So I'll just watch all of these shows, keep paying me. I'll tell you what you need to watch and not watch. I'll take the bullet, and that's just the way things will go. It's been like that for a while, but it's more like that now than ever.
When those 3 hours mean something in their entirety, maybe I will. But like, I think the hour and a half.
When do you think that's going to happen?
Never. So I think I'm fine. Like, to be honest with you, I think there's a lot of people listening out there that have probably, if they're even bothering at all to check anything out, they're checking out the highlight 10-minute, whatever it is, highlight package that WWE sends out and that you can find at WWE.com. I mean, you don't even need to watch the Hulu version now. You can just watch that and be fine with it and listen to this show and then just vicariously live through your pain. And what you didn't get to at the end of everything with that show last night with Seth going in there and somehow mysteriously finding this Firefly Funhouse. He goes in there and then you're on Fox and they're going to replay this, I'm sure, in video clips on Fox Network on Friday. And I'm not going to sit here and ever say that professional wrestling has got to be Shakespearean theater in the round. But on top of everything else, it looked so bad and came across so cheap and so cheesy and just bad. And I don't know, kill me, I'm sure there's somebody out there, you don't understand, this is 4D chess from, whatever. Fine, enjoy it. It's awful. And you can spin it any other way you want to. But if maybe this was any other promotion even, maybe this would be high art for them. I've been watching the WWF since, 1983. It's just amazing in the time where this has gone on.
Dude,
where this is where we've come. But
I
you
got
know
more
what?
for you.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you don't change and you have something that's atrophying at the top that has just come and killed the root all the way down.
All right, I got more news. So, we asked these questions last night. Now we have answers. Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, already broken up. So you probably won't be seeing Luke Harper anymore, would be my guess. I don't know that, but they weren't doing anything with him. They brought him back for the tag match. Now they've broken them up. So they're no longer a team. The Crown Jewel show, this is what happened. I'm not even making this up. Like 2 weeks ago, or whenever they had Hogan and Flair on the show, and by the way, by far the most watched segment on that show, Hogan and Flair set up a 5-on-5 Team Hogan versus Team Flair match for Crown Jewel. And so they start to draft their teams. And who is the team captain for Team Hogan? Anybody remember? They chose Seth Rollins. Okay. We have Team Hogan, Team Flair. Seth Rollins is the team captain. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they randomly announce Seth Rollins will now be facing The Fiend at Crown Jewel. Well, now he's out of the team. He's no longer the team captain. Now they got to find another team captain. You can't keep your stuff together enough to figure that out? Seriously? So yes, he's out of the team. That's another plans change. They announced him as team captain. Now he's not the team captain because they came up with another match in the meantime. And now we need a new captain for this Team Hogan. The Usos also not drafted because they've been taken off the road. And this was following the DUI. Usos and Naomi off the road. So who even knows what that's going to mean? They may end up in NXT. They may end up just showing up somewhere down the road. I don't even know. SmackDown will be run by Pritchard and Ed Koskey, who is noted, have pretty much been running the show anyway. And Eric Bischoff fired this morning. All of these notes up on the front page of WrestlingObserver.com soon.